Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we turn to a moment that has sent tremors through the global political landscape after reports surfaced that Russia had conducted an alleged test of a new nuclear missile and former United States. President Donald Trump responded with strong words, saying he is not playing games. This response has not only reignited fears of a renewed arms race, but also put the spotlight back on the tense relationship between the United States and Russia. The situation began when sources within Russian state media claimed that the country had successfully tested a new generation nuclear-capable missile believed to be an upgraded version of the Sarmat system known in the West as the Satan II. This missile is said to have the capacity to carry multiple nuclear warheads and strike targets anywhere in the world within minutes. According to Russian defense officials, the test was conducted at a classified location under tight military supervision and was intended to demonstrate what Moscow calls a message of strategic balance. In Washington, the news spread quickly, prompting a wave of reactions from military experts, policy analysts, and political figures among them. Donald Trump, whose reaction was both sharp and direct. He said he was not playing games and warned that the current global situation was growing more dangerous. By the day, he emphasized that weakness invites aggression and that America must remain strong both militarily and politically to prevent disaster. Trump stated that when he was in office, Russia never attempted such provocative displays because they knew there would be consequences. He insisted that his approach to foreign policy kept adversaries cautious and allies secure. According to his remarks, the current leadership has lost control of deterrence, allowing adversaries like Russia, China, and North Korea to feel emboldened to test limits that were previously untouchable. Political analysts say Trump's comments were a mix of warning and critique directed at the Biden administration. He argued that a lack of clear leadership has created instability across the world, with flashpoints in Ukraine, the Middle East, and now nuclear brinkmanship in Eastern Europe. His message was that power must be projected clearly to prevent escalation, not invited through hesitation. The alleged missile test comes at a critical time as the war in Ukraine continues with no clear resolution, and Western nations remain deeply involved in supporting Kyiv economically and militarily. Russia has repeatedly accused the West of pushing too close to its borders through NATO expansion, while the United States and its allies have condemned Moscow for aggression and destabilization. The test, if verified, could be Moscow's latest move to assert dominance and remind the world of its nuclear capabilities. Defense experts have expressed concern that the introduction of new missile technologies, especially those capable of evading current defense systems, could dramatically alter the global balance of power. According to open-source intelligence, the Sarmat missile can carry up to 15 nuclear warheads and travel over 11,000 kilometers, making it virtually unstoppable by traditional missile defense networks. In his statement, Trump argued that such advancements highlight the need for the United States to rebuild and modernize its own nuclear arsenal. He stressed that deterrence is not about using nuclear weapons, but about making sure no one dares to use them. He repeated that peace through strength remains the only real path to stability, a principle he often emphasized during his presidency. Critics of Trump responded by saying that his rhetoric risks inflaming tensions further, but his supporters claim that he is the only one speaking with clarity in a moment of rising global uncertainty. His warning that he is not playing games is being interpreted by many as both a warning to adversaries and a political message at home, as he positions himself once again as a candidate focused on security and strength. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has not officially confirmed whether the Russian test actually took place, though several intelligence reports suggest that unusual activity was detected at Russian launch facilities. The Department of Defense stated that it is closely monitoring the situation and maintaining readiness across all levels to ensure national and allied security. NATO has also convened emergency consultations with member states to discuss the implications of the reports across Europe. The mood is tense, with leaders expressing deep concern over a potential escalation in the arms race. French and British officials have both called for restraint, urging all nuclear powers to avoid any actions that could lead to miscalculations or misunderstandings. The memory of the Cold War looms large, and the idea of a new era of nuclear competition has many worried that the delicate balance of deterrence is being tested once again. Inside Russia, state media has presented the alleged test as a demonstration of power and a response to what it calls NATO encroachment. President Putin has maintained that Russia's nuclear program is purely defensive, but at the same time he has repeatedly warned that any direct threat to Russian sovereignty would be met with devastating consequences. His latest statements have included references to hypersonic weapons, space-based defense systems, and next-generation nuclear deterrence, which Moscow claims are unmatched by the West for Israel, Japan, and other key U.S. allies in the region. This development is deeply unsettling as it raises questions about how secure their alliances truly are. Many are now calling for stronger coordination with Washington and renewed investment in collective defense systems that can respond to advanced missile threats. Analysts point out that this is not the first time Russia has made bold claims about its nuclear capabilities. However, the timing of this test, following recent military tensions and global instability, gives it added significance. It sends a signal that Moscow wants the world to know it remains a major military power capable of challenging the United States directly. Trump's statement also reignited debate about whether the United States should resume large-scale weapons testing, something it has largely avoided for decades under international treaties. Some within the defense community argue that modernization is necessary to maintain credibility, while others warn that escalating nuclear posturing will only increase the risk of catastrophic misunderstanding. Throughout his public comments, Trump repeatedly framed the issue as one of strength versus weakness. He said that during his time in office, his administration prioritized peace through power, making it clear to all adversaries that any hostile action would meet immediate and decisive response. He contrasted that with what he described as confusion and hesitation under the current leadership. As the situation unfolds, there is growing concern that the world is entering a new phase of technological and strategic competition, this time defined not just by nuclear weapons but also by cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, and space militarization. Nations are not only racing to build better missiles, but also smarter systems to detect and counter them. The battlefield of the future will be invisible and instantaneous. In this environment, statements like Trump's carry significant weight when he says he is not playing games. It resonates with both his supporters and critics alike. To his followers, it is a reminder of the tough stance that defined his foreign policy. To others, it signals a return to rhetoric that could increase instability. Yet both sides agree that the stakes have never been higher. Experts in international relations warn that communication between nuclear powers is more important than ever during the Cold War. Even at its most dangerous moments, Washington and Moscow maintained back channels to avoid catastrophic misunderstandings. Today, however, mistrust and political divisions have made dialogue far more difficult, leading to a situation where a single test or misinterpreted signal could trigger a global crisis. This moment marks a test of not just military might, but also diplomacy and restraint as global leaders weigh their responses. The international community is watching closely for any signs of escalation or de-escalation. While analysts emphasize that much of the information surrounding the alleged test remains unverified, the political and psychological impact is already being felt worldwide. Inside the United States, Trump's comments have reignited the debate over defense spending and nuclear modernization. Some lawmakers are calling for renewed investment in the modernization of the nuclear triad, the system of land, air, and sea-based weapons that forms the core of American deterrence. Others argue that diplomacy and arms control agreements must be revived before the situation spirals out of control. The atmosphere in Washington remains charged with divisions over how to respond to global threats. Many believe the lack of strong coordination among allies and domestic political turmoil is sending mixed signals abroad, something that could embolden adversaries, including Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. Meanwhile, the general public around the world is growing increasingly anxious about the potential for escalation. Images of missile launches and headlines about nuclear tests are reminders of a reality that humanity hoped was long behind it, and as tensions continue to grow, the need for calm leadership and strategic vision becomes ever more urgent.